Welcome, everyone, to the How You Profit Show. This is Jeff Herring, your host, and we're doing something kind of cool today. Well, every time we do something kind of cool, but this might be a little cooler. We're taking a piece of 30-year-old content. Okay. Welcome, Marlene. Welcome, Flora. Uh, 30-year-old content and flipping it into a four offer profit system. Okay. Four as in the number four, not FOR. Okay. Because it's all for profit. Right. Now, we do these kind of things on this show because what happens for most of you is you've got what I call new and existing content. Okay. It may not be have has existed as long as mine that I'm flipping today has, because this is from a syndicated column I did way back in the 90s to build my private counseling practice. And it did. It did. It blew it up. I had a waiting list um, and kind of became the guy in the paper in a town screamingly full of counselors. Hey, Matthew. And y'all, welcome to the show. We're just getting into it here because what we're going to do today is take a 30-year-old piece of content and turn it into a four offer profit system. Now, I want to show you this column. Okay. It's from the original paper. It's cut out, and I found it going through some stuff, rearranging my master closet. Some of the stuff in there was my youngest son's because he lived in a dorm, but now he's going to be living in a house. So that got cleaned out, and I got my closet back. How about that? And so upon rearranging it, I found this column, and I thought this would really be good for the show. Okay, so let me show it to you. Get that? Be good for the show. I'll show it to you. All right. So it's yellowed. It proves that I once had dark hair and a full beard. Okay. But I want you to look, or and I want you to look at the date written here. 5/10/95. 5/10/95. I had been doing this by now for about 8 months. And this is actually 5/10/95 is older than 30 years. And so one of the reasons I want to do this was show you that you can take those dust covered ancient archives of content and turn them into profits. Welcome, Emmanuel. We're just diving into our flip here. So, what I did with this was about how to avoid becoming your teenager's enemy. And I give them four things to avoid and four things to do. Okay. Four things to avoid and four things to do. Now, so the core product becomes the four things to do. Okay. Building bridges instead of building barriers, as I have it as a, subhead in the article here. And that's the core product, helping parents build bridges instead of build barriers. Okay. And so they're going to get those four things, deep training, probably more than those four now. Does some of it need to be updated? If it's 30 years old, maybe. But when it's based on principles, folks, it kind of stays the same. All right. So what I'm going to do is split this article in half in a way because there's four things to avoid and four things to do. Right. So I'm going to take the four things to avoid and make that the prequel product. Okay. Called How to Become Your Teen's Enemy. It's so much fun to come up with titles that are the opposite of what the opposite, also known as the opposite of what you want to do. So the prequel product is How to Become Your Teen's Enemy, which leads naturally into the core product about building bridges. Right. So that would be probably like a 3 to 5 module mini course. Side note, technically, this could be turned into a show, something like I do right now, where a parent comes with an issue and we solve it in 10, 15 minutes or whatever. So there's an idea for you folks. Now, got the prequel, got the core, the sequel. I always like sequels to be recurring income. Sometimes your spinoffs too. But it's great to have a sequel that's a spinoff. So the purpose of a prequel product is to get people, give them a taste of what you got going on here. Okay. And then what you want the prequel product to do is move them into the next product. You want them asking, okay, what's next? I want more. And that's the core product. After that, they're going to want more. Some of them will too. And so the sequel product, the recurring income, the club, is called Raising Teens: Barriers, Bridges, and Beyond. Okay, I wanted to title it in a way that this could go on for as long as you have teens or longer, because the average adolescents now last till 25, right? I mean, their brains aren't done developing by then. Come on. Okay, so there's your sequel product. Now, spin-off products you can have fun with. And Stephen and Greg were jumping into the spin-off product here, and you can see the rest on the replay. Um, I like to have fun with spin-off products, and what I've done here is included two that are fun. All right. So years ago, based on where I was practicing, as I picture it, it had to be 95 or 96. And wherever I was practicing while I'm doing the column, my pleasure, Greg, is cutting it out of the newspaper, came in every Monday, cut it out of the newspaper, put it in a bulletin board in the lobby. Okay. So one week I wrote the top 10 things never to believe from your teenager. Okay. The top 10 things never to believe from your teenager. And all my colleagues and staff said, "Guys, did you do that, Jeff? Won't they hate you for doing it? Won't they be mad at you?" Well, that week I walked out to do a group of about 8 to 10 kids, and they're all gathered around the bulletin board looking at top 10 things never to believe from your teenager. And they're going, "I do that one. I do that one. Yeah, I do that one. Yeah, I do that one. Hey, Alfred, good to see you here." Um, and then they were saying, "Hey, Steve," and then they turned to me and said, "Jeff, you missed a bunch of them." I said, "All right, what are they?" So they gave me more. It was engaging even to them. Okay. So the top 10 things never to believe from your teenager is focused on the parents. Why not have something in here that you can have the kids focus on the parents? So the two choices for a spin-off product are the top 10 things never to believe from your teenager. And number two is the care and feeding of parents. Isn't that a fun title? The care and feeding of parents. Now, I'm no longer a counseling psychologist, although I do a little bit of coaching on the side. This is from 30 years ago, okay, 1995. And we're taking this article and turning it into a prequel, a core product, a sequel, and a spinoff. Okay. The cool thing about the care and feeding of parents is if you're a parent, you can give it to your kid. Here, read this. You get to eat tonight. Um, and there's some things they can learn about that. Welcome, Joan. Like, as a parent, I mean, mine are 20, 23, and 30 now. One of the rules was you can tell me the truth, whatever it is, and we'll deal with that. Okay. However, if you lie to me, there's a whole world of bad stuff coming down. For instance, okay, my youngest son and his best buddy, when they were still in high school, during spring break, his best buddy spent the night and then left that next day because he was um, going with his parents up into the mountains. And that morning, for some reason, I walked to the side of the front of the house that I never went to go to the side. And underneath my youngest son's window is a chair. I'm like, come on, guys, can't you be smarter than that? If you're going to sneak out, hide the chair when you get back in, right? So um, when they got up, I said, all right, guys, you got one chance to come clean and you won't be in trouble. All right. No, I'm sorry. I did that with his friend gone. His friend had already left. I said, you got one chance, Caleb, to come clean with me. and you're not going to get punished. But if you cover up, you're in trouble. Okay. And he gets this look on his face. And I said, don't you think you should have put the chair up? He's like, oh my God, Dad, tells me all about it. Okay. Um, and then the mom was thinking to not have my son go with him because she didn't want to interrupt the time with him. I said, it's fine. It's fine. So we met them halfway up there to the mountains, got out of the car, and his friend was there, came over and hugged me. And I just whispered so he could hear. I said, next time, dude, move the chair. And he pulls back and he goes, are you going to tell my parents? I went, no, you are. By this time next week, I'm not going to screw up your trip, your little vacation here. But when I talk to your parents a week from today, they're either going to know what I'm calling about or they won't. Okay. And that's up to you. All right. And so, that's simply a story about the power of something like the care and feeding of parents. You could have it be the care and feeding of customers, the care and feeding of subscribers, the care and feeding of fill in the blank. All right. Now, let's go back over this step by step so you get the whole picture. And you already know two things, right? To listen to this and watch this with two questions in mind. One, how can I use this in my own business, right? And two, how can I get Jeff to do this for me, which I'll tell you about in just a little bit. Okay. This comes from a 1995, 51095 article, 650 word article called How to Avoid Becoming Your Teenager's Enemy. All right. And for the core product, I titled it Bridges or Barriers, and it's all about building bridges and not building barriers. Okay, the prequel product I pulled out of the beginning of the article and called it How to Become Your Teen's Enemy. What I want you to get there, folks, is out of a 650 word article that's 30 years old. Okay, I was able to pull two products, a prequel and a core. And from that, create a sequel, which is a club for raising teens, barriers, bridges, and beyond. All right. And then a couple of spin-offs that are fun that people are still going to buy. And I could use either the top 10 things never to believe from your teenager or the care and feeding of parents. And why not both? You know, the parents still get one they can give to their kids. So now, again, this is built from a 30-year-old article. Don't tell me that something you wrote last year isn't applicable. My guess is something you wrote last year is still sitting there collecting dust and not making you any money. Okay. Because what happens is we all get content creators get sold the bill of goods. Okay. The system is rigged. If you think about all the platforms that need more content, that thrive on your content, of course they're going to be saying, well, all you need to do is publish more. Okay. And that's true to an extent of getting visible, getting traffic, building your list. There comes a time when that puts you on the content hamster wheel, as I wrote about in today's article, that you can get a look at over at How We Profit. No, no, no. HowYouProfit.com. HowYouProfit.com. All right. And so what I want to do is bust you out of that trap, out of that content hamster wheel. And Mina just liked that post right as we were talking about it. I love Substack. I want to bust you out of there and take the new and existing content, no matter how long it's been existing, and build it into a four offer profit system. The number four offers profit system. Okay. Now, how do you do that? All right. We've demoed one today of me just doing mine. Now, when I have guests, there's two ways we can do this. I can have you live on this show, just like we've done. Now, I also know that some of you are never going to appear on camera working on your stuff. You're just not. Okay, that's fine. We can do a private flip, one-on-one private call where I flip your content into these four um, offers. Okay. Now, before I give you the link, there's a special going on this week. All right. And uh, 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 five is enough, right? note I wrote at the end of last month is still blowing up. 3 likes and 1 Substack has come in the time we've been live here, okay? And it's all about writing notes and how to make them pay you, besides drive traffic, how to turn them into products and how to use them right to get traffic and get new subscribers. Okay. There's somebody on here, Astrid, that just joined us a few minutes later. We met on Notes and started connecting with each other. And I visited her show last week and she's visited mine this week. And so this flat out works, folks. Okay. And it's called Grow Your Notes, Grow Your Audience, Grow Your Profit. And what I'm going to take you through on this bonus that you get with a flip is a workshop on exactly how to do that, to grow your notes, to grow your audience, and to grow your profits with notes. Okay. Now, probably if I just did that standalone, it'd be like, I don't know, 197, 297. You're getting it absolutely free with your flip. Now, to go get your flip, you go to jeffherring.com/flip. jeffherring.com/flip, FLIP. And you have 3 to choose from. You can get a starter flip where we do pretty much what I've done today with you. Okay. You could get an advanced one where I'm going to go deeper into the outline of each program with you. And you can get a elite one where I build the whole thing for you, including the products, including the sales letters, including the email sequences. And again, we can do it here on the show, or we can do it in private, whichever you prefer. That link again, before we wrap up here, is jeffherring.com/flip. Now, this recording and the show notes and that link will be in a post that goes out tomorrow on Substack. So simply watch for it. Probably early tomorrow morning, depending on whether I get it done today or not. All right. So, folks, thank you so much for being here. A lot of places you could have been online and you chose to be with us. And I always take that as a huge honor. Now, you guys know what to do. Go get this stuff at jeffherring.com/flip, FLIP, and go use this stuff. My pleasure, Flora, who's thanking me. My pleasure, Flora. Go use this stuff because it flat out works. And we will catch you next time on the next show.